Hello. A happy Monday morning to you. My name is Hance, and I have our collective I Ching reading for this week, which is, I have to say, as usual, in keeping with the ecology of the moment, the ecology of erotic emergence, as the gardens wake up and the plants wake up and the sap begins to move again in the Northern Hemisphere. And I would say if you're listening from the Southern Hemisphere, invert this. Take in spring is that step after the yin replenishment of winter. That step forward into the world again, having been nourished by the dark. We're all kind of, we're collectively dying of a fear of the dark. And you see what's in the middle of that word dying is yin, that dark feminine replenishment, that womb space, that emptiness from which form emerges again in the spring. If we're not willing to be embodied in that emptiness, like a little fetus who's like, oh my God, I have I have a hand? If we maintain that innocence and that willingness to be surprised, the dark is not a scary place. We see it for the place of transformation that it is. We allow ourselves to be in the compost pile and to join that collective composting process together and become something else entirely, which it seems to me we need right now. If we each open to our darkness, our grief, all the things that allow us to be in that womb of no thing, that boundless, fruitful darkness, then we are able to see the fruits later, not in this moment, but in that opening to the causes and conditions of this moment. We trust that the fruit will come, that sweetness will come, that love will come, that nourishment. So this week's collective I Ching reading, which I cast before I come on, and I promise I am going to do a video about how to cast an I Ching reading so that you can do it yourself. I also do readings for people, and I'm also I have a new fuck suffering group starting this week. So come to reihance.com, REIHANCE.com, if you would like to join for that practice group. I also have a podcast, the Fuck Suffering Podcast, and new episodes come out every Tuesday. So there'll be another episode tomorrow. This is our collective I Ching reading for the week. We have flowering into presence with one changing line at line 2. So flowering, here's a closer look at it. It's the trigrams, which are like the elements, and 2 elements make up the hexagram. They're stacked on top of one another. And I think with the I Ching, it's important because it's traditionally called the Book of Changes. And I changed that to Oracle of Emergence because it's really an energetic snapshot of the moment of how we're embodying those causes and conditions in our human life. So yes, there are changes, but how are we meeting and metabolizing those changes? That's actually what the I Ching is guiding us in. So here's flowering. Hexagram 22. I'm going to use my glasses today because my arms are not long enough. The tight bud opens. The plant's essence is generously revealed. The fragrance is released, and all are welcome to behold it. The hexagram of full embodiment. What surfaces can you polish toward a more joyful and inspiring presentation? This is a performative hexagram. It points at surfaces reflecting source. Polish the mirror of the self to reflect essence. Fully and fearlessly express yourself. So this is different from hexagram 43 pop, which we had last week. This is an opening rather than a popping, squeezing. This is more feminine in its presentation, whereas pop 43 is more yang. This is a moment of extravagant flourishing. The next phase retracts to focus on seeds, but don't think about that now. For now, just be fragrant as fuck. The gifted performer shares their essence through a crafted form, costume, jewelry, dressing up. Have you updated your personae lately? Checked in with your archetypes? Should you? Do they match your essence? How about now? This hexagram is about the cultivation of ego as an expression of essence. The ego is limited. It's a thing, but not the thing. No need to kill it. Just train it to poop outside. Is there a gap between your daily performance and your essence? How big is it? Is your performance veering from free expression to manipulation? It might be true, but is it honest? How far have you strayed from sincerity? Acting as if can be useful. It's also useful to know when to stop. Know when you're living your illusions. Lively and vivacious, beware of ungrounded bubbling. Don't let all that energy just fly off unbidden. Energetic mastery is having the ability to turn the dial in all directions, gaining access to a wide range of frequencies. That's skilled performance. That's art. That's the heart of flowering. Are you trapped in an outdated persona? Would a new haircut and some fresh clothes shift something? Is there an external shortcut for you to express matching ego to essence? What persona has society given you to perform? Race, class, geography, etc. How do you wear them? What would you design for yourself this minute? Notice when you're performing, even when, especially when you perform gracefully and with wit. When are you performing an expression of something you don't rightfully possess but wish you did? Can you tell? It's beauty's luminosity that endures, but adornments and enhancements in their place sure don't hurt. Such is the way of the flower. It's just for a brief moment that a plant flowers. The blossoming so often comes to define it, but it's only one phase of the life cycle, so be aware of that here. Be careful around how much you crave external validation. Notice when you abandon your essence in order to be good or pleasing. A rose doesn't present violet blossoms. Rose flowers carry the signature of the plant they open from. Do you see what I mean? Flowering is the maximum flaunting of their nature, but not another sort of thing. A Festiva Maxima Peony, my favorite flower, is a fully actualized being. Its flower is an open invitation to all beings just for today. She emerges from the causes and conditions of this moment, just like you. She doesn't ever forget who she is. Why would she try? A tulip doesn't offer a dahlia. A Montauk daisy doesn't offer a thistle. Each makes its fluorescent offering according to its nature. Look at these patterns in your own nature now. Feel the tight bud open. After flowering, sink back into your roots. Begin again. So we have a changing line at line 2. And the changing line is what connects the two hexagrams. It's what's connecting hexagram 22, flowering, and hexagram 26, presence. A beard may hide a weak chin, but you'll always know you've grown a beard to hide your weak chin. Don't forget the skin under the costume. You may distract others, that's fine. A little legerdemain is sometimes socially required, but don't forget yourself. Don't fall for your own tricks. Sometimes society itself is the beard covering our collective weak chins. Don't forget yourself under the spell of that trick either. I'm looking at you, all the good girls out there. Don't fall for your own tricks. Know when people pleasing is trying to extract a validation from another person rather than actually opening to connection. Presence, hexagram 26. Mountain over heaven. This is Oracle of Emergence. This is my book, by the way. You can get it on Amazon if you want to do readings for yourself. Now is a time to be conscious of how you direct your radiance. This is mindfulness. This is not mindfulness. Sorry, mindfulness drives me, actually, it's like one of my pet peeves. This is not mindfulness, not mindfulness. This is embodiment. Decenter yourself and let radiance fill the space where your identity used to be. Focus that radiance and it functions like a laser. Do you let your light diffuse or do you focus it like a laser? Do you have the skill to choose? How can you develop this? Meditation is one way, not mindfulness. That thing is too full already, but embodiment. Let your body open and become fully permeable. Decenter your mind and witness its chatter. Witness with self-compassion as your mind grows tame. Taming doesn't come from control. It comes from love. This is not about mind control. No meditation is. It's about witnessing, tenderly witnessing. Do as the daisy does. Every daisy is a bodhisattva, a clear, humble, delightful, fully embodied expression of its essential nature. It doesn't occur to a daisy to try to be an iris. And you're seeing the connection between these two hexagrams today. You're starting to get this now. Presence is a call to stabilize expression of your essence. The master tames the animal. So we're the flowering, holding that space of flowering, of fully opening as we actually are. If we're a peony, we're being a peony. We're not trying to be a thistle or an iris. Opening fully, forcing nothing. The master tames the animal. The lover tames lovingly. You are being called to make a loving pet of your lower nature. The pet serves as a loyal and loving companion. The ego serves as a loyal and loving companion to your life force. No feral animal is capable of this. The pet never loses her wild heart, but knows when to sit and when to stay. Dignity is the capacity to embody wild forces with grace. It's the pull of gravity that leads the daisy to push straight up. The pull of gravity shapes grace. The pull of gravity shapes grace. How do you move with what seems to move against you? Can you trust that it's granting you grace? You remember who you are now. Others may not. You can't force feed your hot slice into mouths that are not open, no matter how delicious your pie. Meet people where they're at. Trust your deepening wisdom. Build the castles emerging from the pattern in the clouds. Be aware of how you're being received. Be kind. Don't show off. You know who you are. You don't have to flaunt it. Focus isn't forcing. There's no need to force anything now. Your presence has the sillage of a well-crafted perfume. Not overwhelming, but it lingers after you've left the room. You are responsive rather than reactive. You move with what comes through you rather than squandering it with resistance. You know when to latch and unlatch the gates. You embody wild forces with grace. Your own soft animal purrs in your lap. The whole world responds to presence like this. A peony doesn't have to force the ants to come. Doesn't have to force the bees or the moths to come. Doesn't have to force human faces to come and bury themselves in her blossoms. No. It just is. You just are. So stay out of the way.